Have you noticed something lately? Over the last few months, it feels like every other weeks there's a marriage related crimes making national headlines. One day it's a husband allegedly murdered by his wife and her lover. Another day it's a woman allegedly killed over dowry. Then there's a case of domestic violence, a bitter divorce, a family torn apart by betrayal. Every time I open my phone and there's another story. That makes me stop and think. At first I thought these were just isolated incidents. After all, crimes have always happened. But when you keep seeing similar headlines again and again, you naturally start asking yourself, is there something in society that has changed? Has marriage, an institution that has existed for centuries, become more fragile? Or is social media making us feel that way? I didn't want to answer that question based only on emotions or viral posts. So I started looking at the data. And honestly, what I found was more interesting than I expected. According to the National Crime Record Bureau, the biggest category of marriage related crimes in India is still cruelty by husband or his relatives. Domestic violence and dowry related offenses continue to affect thousands of families every year. At the same time, the kind of cases that dominate social media, like a spouse allegedly conspiring with her lover to murder their partner, are real, tragic, and deserve serious attention. But they are not. Based on the available national data, the most common form of marriage related crimes. That made me pause. Because if data doesn't show a sudden explosion of these sensational crimes, why does it feel like they are everywhere? I think the part of the answer lies in how our brains work. Imagine this. If you hear about 3 airplane crash in 1 week, flying suddenly feel dangerous. Even though millions of flights land safely every day, the same thing happens with news. Our mind naturally remembers stories that are shocking, unexpected, emotional. Psychologists call this the availability heuristic. We tend to judge how common something is by how easily examples come to mind. And today, social media amplifies exactly those kind of stories. A crime that happens in one city can reach millions of people across the country within hours. Thousands of comments, millions of views, endless debates. Then, before that conversation even ends, another shocking headlines appear. After a while, it begins to feel like this is happening everywhere. And here's where I think we need to be more careful. Just because some things become more visible does not automatically means it has become dramatically more common. That's why I don't think the real story is only about crime. I think the bigger story is about how marriage itself is changing. And that's where the things become really interesting. Because if we compare what marriage meant to our grandparents with what it means today, we are almost talking about two completely different institutions. And I think that's where we should begin our conversation.